Hi, this is an exception insofar as that this is the last time and first and last time that I'm going to do that, namely read in a video one of the entries of my journal that I keep, as there is a chance that people do not dare to come to my Mac, but maybe there is a wee little chance that they dare to watch videos on YouTube. This is aimed at all of the services and armed forces involved. A completely aside observation. I'm just going to read what it says here. You can read along if you want. I finally figured why the Austrian TV, both ORF as well as private channels, are broadcasting practically nothing but alleged warning or call home movies and serials lately. Namely, it doesn't say that here, some of them from way back, the 70s and 80s. Such was, since the 70s, never anything other than fake. No one ever warned anyone via films. No one ever phoned home because of a film or something on TV. All such alleged callers were fake callers. Either completely fictional, if no one of those people who were briefed of the results of that crap movie tactics asked any further questions, thrown in for good measure a few forced callers, being such who actually did something like phoning home and or warning others, but utterly not at their own free will or because the films would make them, but Fax Mundi in the background made them behave like that, i.e. live fucking. The movies also have the purpose to create the impression that I did not delete the connecting infrastructure of the brain-to-brain connections, which in itself of course is being discredited, but in the context of events, this sentence makes sense. If you don't know about events, you should bloody read my documents. And to give all the filth from Nazis to NSA being the NSA, I like to call them that. I hope they soon get their asses nuked anyhow, so they should not give a fuck what I call them, an excuse to continue their completely delusional doing. Again, no one in decades ever phoned home. No one in decades ever got warned. No one in, and that sentence means no one ever tried to warn anybody, nor did anybody ever successfully, so to speak, got warned, was warned by somebody. No one in decades ever got fake warned, because part of this was that, oh, we figured how to do that with the movies, oh, we're gonna lure them out now that way. Ah. No one in decades ever was unveiled. All such were purpose created to be nothing more than a fake fish caught that way. It is all horrendously bad Mummenschanz. That is a German word. English lacks a word for that. At least in my vocabulary, I don't have an appropriate one. I've used that word Mummenschanz earlier in my documents quite a while ago because it is a magnificent word. It carries an extra bang that no English word carries. It's just bad lies, acting, show, whatever you want to call it. A big self-delusional paranoia doing amongst the services who believe to know what is and has been going on for decades. There is an outside chance that due to stupid super secretizing of everything and blackening of documents, I'm still not sure if that is the correct English verb. I think it is. If you black out something, like with a felt pen or something in the documents, I think that is called blackening. Even such who back in the 70s knew that it was all fake doing, and also indirect psychological warfare aimed at then already delusional and fake foreign mindfuckers, have lost that knowledge. Meaning, over these last decades, even those who knew that the whole movie shit was nothing but shit, lost that knowledge. There is a chance for that. The movie shit doesn't do shit other than to allow tons of fake results being produced by those agencies in charge of keeping the program running. Some of them are, to a certain extent, shoved their way by those who mess with those services in the background. Further and further moving away from the actual ongoings. The fake results of ex-Austrian and Bundeswehr Nazis towards, and when I say Nazis, I don't mean them dead fellas from 70, 80 years ago, I mean those today. Those are the ones I'm talking about. And yes, I call them Nazis because at the end of the day, that is what they fucking are. The fake results of ex-Austrian and Bundeswehr Nazis towards the US filth and arms explains some of their ascent in power, namely of the Austrian and German wankers, within the semi-delusional ranks of Fex Mundi. Fex Mundi, for the people who don't know what that means, if you Google it, you will wind up with it being a phrase or a term for the people whole. That is not what it means. Fex Mundi literally means filth of the world. That's what it means. And they're willing executioners. Also, this from day one, namely from way back in the 70s, and maybe even in the 60s they started doing shit like that, but certainly in the 70s there's tons of that popping up. Also, this from day one was aimed at creating the impression that only some people were individually targeted with mindfucking, kind of like sleepers, when in truth and reality it has been all the populace from childhood onwards for decades now. The thing smells a lot like a set of assumptions and conditions for a scenario, hence there is a chance that quite a few, at least back in the 70s, 80s, were caught in just that scenario, namely in the scenario app, which comes out of a military background. At least decades ago, the armed services knew what the fuck the scenario app was and how it worked. And maybe the overlord lurchies amongst Fex Mundi rediscovered that old scenario and been distributing it again for the last 10 plus years. More than any hypothetical few instances still surviving of that scenario. They've been given this freely, this scenario. In fact, that inherent given of thereby leading towards the conclusion of the mindfucking only being used on some people is a picture book example of a very low level, probably level 1 scenario condition. This comes as and this is what in this scenario you have as your, in German is a wonderful word, Rahmenbedingungen. It's just the most basic scenario conditions that are true for no matter how you branch in that scenario, right? That's why I call it probably level 1. This is where scenarios start. Give this decades and you have the situation when for all new reasons such movies have forced movie makers' way today, namely new compared to 30 plus years ago. You can think this through yourself. I don't need to go into detail here. Wrong information and interpretation of that nothing but lies shit further leads to the very welcome by Fex Mundi filth assumption that to even think about any of these ongoings is dangerous. If caught within a scenario app, this is one mother of a branching. Meaning, if those in the scenario app ever draw that conclusion, oh, it's dangerous to even think about it, then that becomes a massive blocker towards, internal blocker towards them even fucking thinking about it. But even if not caught in scenario apps, it is technically paranoid. It is technically paranoid self-intimidation. And that paranoia leads to, for example, I assume, add to this the fact that NSA and ILK are keeping information from the CIA and from certain parts of the armed services. And stupid, oh, this is super secret, this is super secret, this is super secret, and shit like that. The CIA not daring to contact me as they interpret me such a bait. I am not a bait, I am not a fish, I am not a fisherman, I am mankind. And that sentence you won't understand if you lack the information in the documents. Feel free to bloody come to my door in Vienna, knock, bring a USB stick, and you get the unmessed with documents. So, Langley, for fuck's sake, do something. Talk to me, talk to the Air Force, talk to, why the Air Force? Because they are to nuke for me, yeah? Talk to foreign services, and above a lot of things, talk to one another. I want you, Langley, to tell your bloody janitor all about it, okay? Don't super fucking secretize this shit within the CIA. Tell everybody in the fucking CIA everything about it. That is what I mean by talk to one another. The whole approach from day one, unfortunately, also is the kind of thing that Marlins, and here I use the plural, Marlin, I have one pesky asshole bugging me for the longest time. He styled himself as Marlon Brando with the virtual identity routines and whatnot. I don't know why he chose Marlon Brando. It's beyond me, but so I call him Marlon, right? Just to make you not wonder where the name comes from. The whole approach from day one, unfortunately, also is the kind of thing that Marlins, even them, that is 70s, would and could use against their supposed Fex Mundi masters, whatever the fuck the British accent is shoved my way now, and bosses to pretend they're active and doing their job when it is all lies. See, the thing is, Marlon must be someone who succeeded to a certain extent to fuck up his own bosses. And be it by rather elaborate lies, though personally I'm convinced that he's also using active mind-fucking against his bosses. And this whole shit about the movies, which is just one of the many topics we could talk about, right? It just, why does this topic at all come up now? Because yesterday evening they reran an Austrian comedy, whatever you'd call it. It's kind of hard to describe, actually. I don't know a whole lot of things like it. From something that started in the late 70s and was continued over into the 80s. And one episode in particular was thick, really thick, with such inside messages and information and warnings and whatnot. So that's why I bring up the topic today. It has a reason because yesterday they broadcast that. It's something called Kotar. I don't know if you give a fuck or not, but anyhow. So, talk to one another. Alright, trust me, Fex Mundi, and here I talk to Fex Mundi, who believe themselves to not be with the lurchy overlords, who are lurchies, religious extremists. So if you think to be Fex Mundi, but not lurchies, and if you know who the fuck Marlon is, if you the fuck keep Marlon sick at me, and his Austrian and German ilk, that all with the movies has never been anything other than a mammoth bluff and way to fool you too. Kill Marlon and his Nazi contacts. Your price tag, Fex Mundi, that is for their individual survival, Kampf, Weiland, and the liberation of mankind, and my judgment over all of these motherfuckers, is at 41 billion today. What currency? Well, I'm not sure if I mentioned the currency back then. What I meant was euros, though I guess we're in the kind of region now where I don't care if it's pounds, or, well, pounds would be more even, but even if it's US dollars. The point is, we're at 41 billion today. Even for and amongst you, that price tag is becoming rather exclusively luxurious. It's you and your family's lives, there's an apostrophe missing, and your family's lives, you will not be able to pawn out again, as all your ill-gotten wealth will simply not suffice. You only have yourselves to blame, because I've been fucking giving you the chance to buy yourself out of your treason. But you did not do that yet. Well, that price tag is still going up $1 billion every fucking day. For every single motherfucking one of you Fex Mundi wankers out there. You only have yourselves to blame for trusting lies and pretenders like Marlon, for being too busy to fuck mankind whole yourself. This is what you get if you let scum and filth take over the job of enslaving mankind for you. They enslave you too. Tough luck. Incidentally, especially the extracts of my field while watching these movies are used to discredit me. Those are utterly forged. I do note a whole lot of buzzing static in the field whenever I'm watching movies, but I want to concentrate on the film, hence usually make nothing of it. But all that buzzing is shit blown into, and just into the field, to be extracted and presented as allegedly my thoughts and or my reactions to the movies, when in fact it is blown down into my field through the proxy tech upstairs, and a copy of mine forced to badly act whatever type of calling home attempts that allegedly are triggered by the movie when they are not. This is, on my end, utter discrediting of me and abusing me to wrongly credit this movie shit is working in accordance to that decade-old set of lies. Nuke the fucking NSA. It also works into the general wide variety of methods to discredit individuals. Everything from degree of sweating to body posture and body language to breathing frequency and the whole shebang the scientists attribute to lie detecting is utterly forgeable, namely utterly commandable via the whole tech installed in people. The manipulation, and by tech I don't mean nanotechnology, no, I mean biotech, the nervous system that has been conquered. The manipulation abilities of such nervous system things and ongoings is at 100%. It's not at 99, it's not at 90, it is at 100%. Add to that the crap about looks this way when remembering, looks that way when lying, etc. There are tons of shit like that they have established as truth and scientific finding when it is nothing but lies. Even back in the late 50s, psychology was at best a pseudoscience, and no other science or even pseudoscience has been so stalwartly battered away at and deliberately shaped over the decades since then as psychology has. And this is the first and last daily entry that I read out here as a video, because I will certainly not do this every fucking single entry I make. You fucking utterly delusional traitors on mankind out there of armed forces, secret services, super secret brotherhoods, fucked up in the head religions, you out there will not get away with ruining mankind for good till it is dead and stops twitching. You will not get away with that. I want you to know that. And I want some of you to the fuck act by coming to my door.